Good morning, dear listeners and viewers of CAM1 Radio. On our top stories today, a councillor by the name of Matthias Bang of the Zwa Council in Menchum Division has been brutally assassinated by separatist fighters yesterday, June 5th, at Befang in the northwest region of the country. In this edition of the news, we shall also be talking about the 51st edition of the World Environment Day, which was celebrated yesterday under the theme of land restoration, desertification and drought resilience. And at least 11 people have died in what has been described as a tornado blast in South Africa. We shall be talking more in this edition of the news. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the People's Radio. The frequency is 99.5 FM. I am your humble presenter, Comrade Charles Abane. We'll kickstart this new session today with the celebration of the 51st edition of the World Environment Day, which was celebrated yesterday under the theme of land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. The celebration took place in Limbe at the conference hall of the divisional delegation in Limbe, where one of our reporters was on set. Gole Sylvain covered the story in its entirety. His report.
The 51st edition of the World Environment Day was celebrated on Wednesday, June 5, 2024 at the conference hall of the Divisional Delegation of Environment, Protection of Nature and Sustainable Development, FACO. This year's edition is celebrated under the theme Land Restoration, Desertification and Drought Resilience with the slogan Our Land, Our Future. The World Environment Day is the United Nations' biggest and most important annual event for encouraging worldwide awareness and action for the protection of the environment. One of the primary objectives of the celebration is to raise awareness about the environmental issues. Recently, Limbe has experienced a lot of challenges, amongst which are landslides, floods, erosion, land degradation, poor waste management due to human action and/or natural occurrence. The day was also characterized by poems, music, sensitization, symposium, and more.
This is Kwangen Mercy. I'm the Divisional Delegate of Environment, Protection of Nature and Sustainable Development for FACO here in Limbe. We have just celebrated the 2024 World Environment Day in FACO Division in Limbe with organizations, with students and peoples of Friend of Nature Club of around the division. It was a great event. Actually, the World Environment Day is celebrated every year on the 5th of June to mark the importance of the environment to man. Yeah, we all know that we get medicine, we get food, we get almost everything that we need for our survival in this planet from the environment. Yeah, so we have to raise awareness during this period. It's a period where we raise awareness. Communities all over the world, in countries, about 143 nations gathered to celebrate this day. And it is to raise awareness on the importance of environmental protection. The theme for this year is restoration, that's biodiversity or ecosystem restoration, desertification and resilience to all these problems that we have around. So this year's theme is very, very important. And our team went out with a senior divisional officer for FACO, planting trees. We planted so many trees, about 1,000 trees, led by the senior divisional officer at his premises. He planted a symbolic tree, and we followed at at various streets in town. This is to tell the population that each person should plant a tree, and that environmental protection is a duty of everybody, not only the Ministry of Environment. We also went out distributing plants. We have free plants that we distributed to the community of Limbe, because this day is not celebrated only by us, it is also a community day celebration. So we also celebrated with pupils, as I said, pupils from primary schools and the students from secondary schools. It was a big day. So we call on everybody who has not yet planted a tree to go out and plant a tree to fight against desertification and restore our ecosystems. Thank you very much.
It should be noted that activities to mark this day's celebration started on the 30th of May 2024, followed by distribution of flyers, distribution of trees to the population, tree planting in the municipality, as the SGO for Fako Viam Mekala did a symbolic planting of trees.
In this edition of the news, onto a major lead story. Councillor Matthias Mbang of the Zwa Council in Menchum Division has been brutally assassinated by separatist fighters yesterday, June 5th, 2024, at Befang in the northwest region. He left home heading to Bamenda when separatist fighters intercepted him at Befang, shot him to death, and the bike rider is still battling for his life at a health facility in Befang. This is one of the latest news which has come to us all the way from the northwest region. Meantime, residents in Bamenda are currently experiencing a lack of connectivity due to the unavailability of the MTN network. The prolonged internet disruption since June 2nd, 2024 has caused significant frustrations among the locals. Honorable Nuan Foster has raised concerns regarding the government's utilization of the conflict between the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education and the FECAFOOT to sow discord among the youth in the country. The schism within the younger generation could potentially play into the hands of the current administration during the upcoming presidential, legislative, and municipal elections, as the opposition seeks to mobilize young people in the bid to end President Biya's 4-decade-long reign. And almost 110 students were absent during the first school leaving certificates exams in Donga Mantung Division, northwest region of the country, as ongoing armed conflict, which has so far primarily targeted civilians and poses a threat to education access in the area. We talk health to say multiple health and environmental risks have been highlighted by the National Observatory on Climate Change, raising concerns for the well-being of Cameroonians in the coming days. In news out of the country, the planet just marked a shocking milestone, enduring 12 consecutive months of unprecedented heat, according to new data from Copernicus, the European Union's climate monitoring services. Every single month from June 2023 to May 2024 was the world's hottest such month on record, as data has proven it globally. The planet just marked a shocking 12 milestone and during 12 consecutive months of unprecedented heat, it should be reiterated. And US President Joe Biden touched down in Paris on Wednesday for a trip marking the 80th anniversary of D-Day and engaging in a state visit hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron. But the task at hand will be far loftier as Biden seeks to deepen ties with transatlantic allies in Europe, as Europe faces a re-energized Russia inside Ukraine, the looming threat of China, and the risk posed by the elections. A Boeing spacecraft carrying two NASA astronauts is on its historic maiden voyage. The landmark launch kicked off the first crew test flight of the capsule and marked the culmination of a long and trying development process. The astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams are expected to spend one day in the orbit before docking with the International Space Station. And on to one of our major lead stories. At least 11 people have died and more than 50 others are injured after tornadoes tore through parts of South Africa's coastal province of KwaZulu-Natal. The devastating storms caused major damage, particularly in the town of Tongat in northern KwaZulu-Natal, where footage from ravaged neighborhoods shows debris from dozens of wrecked homes in South Africa. In the Middle East, Israel has transferred hundreds of Palestinian detainees out of the shadowy detention facility of SDE Taiman in Israel's Negev desert. A state attorney told Israel's Supreme Court on Wednesday during a first ever hearing about the facility where prisoners from Gaza have allegedly been held under conditions of extreme abuse. The hearing comes in response to a petition by the Association for Civil Rights in Israel and other human rights groups, which drew heavily on the reporting about the makeshift prison to make a case for it to be shut down. The Bank of England said Charles is only the second monarch after his late mother, Queen Elizabeth II, to appear on banknotes issued by the Bank of England. It also it's also the first time the bank has changed the monarch on its notes. A Georgia appeal court has halted the election subversion conspiracy case against former President Donald Trump and several of his co-defendants until a panel of judges rules on whether Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis should be disqualified. The new order filed on Wednesday from the Georgia Court of Appeals is the latest indication in the trial. In the state level Georgia election subversion case will not occur before the 2024 US presidential elections. And still in the US, a man from Florida is facing a felony grand theft charge in Broward County after a plucky airline passenger scheduled to fly out of Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport in March tracked has stolen luggage to the man's home, according to the probable cause affidavit in the case. Nvidia, Wall Street's favorite artificial intelligence darling, is continuing to swell to staggering heights. The AI chipmaker crossed the 3 trillion mark and surpassed Apple to become the second largest public company in the US as at now. Meantime, photos of released Ukrainian prisoners of war show emaciated bodies in horrifying conditions as Roman Gorillic's ribs and collarbones are sticking out. His belly is sunken, his shoulder and his hip joints clearly visible under his pale skin. His extreme emaciation appears to be the result of the 2 years he spent in a Russian captivity. The former checkpoint guard at the Chernobyl nuclear plant in the northern Ukraine was detained by Russian troops in March 2022, shortly after Moscow launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. He was finally released on Friday, one of the 75 Ukrainians exchanged for 75 Russian prisoners of war. This is one of the most important news today on the international scene. Meantime, Keira Knightley, Ruth Wilson, and other stars have signed an open letter calling on companies to support a crackdown on bullying and sexual harassment. In the same light or away from that particular news story, Wales First Minister Bogan Gething loses a no confidence vote in Parliament and after row over campaign donations. A new floating staircase in Norway promises spectacular views and undeniable thrills, but it's probably not for the faint-hearted. The 131-foot long stairway called the Stigel Ladder dangles from 2,591 feet above a Norwegian flood in the small village of Loen in the northwest of the country. And it's with that touristic report that we end this edition of the news on CAM1 Radio. The FM or the frequency is 99.5 FM. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your humble host and presenter. On a daily basis, I am a Comrade Charles Abane. See you tomorrow, same time, same place on this very network for more interesting news stories. Have a nice day.